Welcome back to Mean Streets, where each week we investigate the best, worst, and forgotten movies of film noir. I'm Luke Deckard.
And I'm Matthew Booth.
And today's case is 2024's Love Lies Bleeding, starring Kristen Stewart, Katy O'Brien, and Ed Harris, and directed by Rose Glass, and written by Rose Glass and Weronika, or possibly Veronica, but with a W, Tofilska. And if I butchered your name, I apologize. The log line for Love Lies Bleeding is Lou is a reclusive gym manager who falls hard for Jackie, an ambitious bodybuilder who's heading to Las Vegas to pursue her dream. Their love soon leads to violence as they get pulled deep into the web of Lou's criminal family. Matt, what a film.
What a film. What a film. Not necessarily, I don't think this says more about me than it does about the film. Not necessarily one that I would have actively sought out to watch if we'd not discussed doing it for this episode. But definitely a film I think that I will go back to.
You know what it reminded me of from the very, very early on? It reminded me of Drive with Ryan Gosling. I don't know if you've ever seen Drive.
Yeah, I've seen Drive.
But it had that sort of vibe of like, I remember when Drive came out, I remember not being interested in seeing Drive, but what I mean by that is not being interested to like go to the cinema to see it quickly. But it just so happened there was a day hanging out with a friend, busy day. At the end of the day, very tired. Thought, let's just go to the cinema. And the only thing that looked remotely interesting was Drive. And my God, was I so happy that I went to the cinema to see Drive, because that looked amazing on the big screen. But that's another film that would have passed me by. But chance had that, I went and saw it. And I think, yeah, similar with this, I might not have gone out of my way to see Love Lies Bleeding if not for doing it for this podcast and wanting to look at more contemporary neo-noirs. So I'm glad that it was thrown onto our radar and we finally did it, because I think we discussed doing it really early on. And then
we did, yeah. And then
yeah,
events overtook us, I think.
Yeah. So it really kind of got pushed back to the bottom of the bottom of a very, very, very long list. But then I don't know, something happened. I was like, let's just give it a go. I think it was after The Fall Guy, where I was like, The Fall Guy was really good. Let's give Love Lies Bleeding a go, because that one was a surprise. Maybe this one will surprise us.
We did talk about doing the new Roadhouse, didn't we? At the same time,
we did.
We sort of kiboshed that, I think. But
yeah, we'll save that for a later date.
Save that for a later date. But this is something else. This is a film like that really does pack a punch.
Yeah,
and I know what you mean about Drive. Well, I know what you mean about Drive, but it also reminded me of some of the old classics.
Oh yeah,
there's definitely Double Indemnity in here, and there's definitely very much The Postman Always Rings Twice.
Yes.
And we'll come on to some of the dialogue later on, perhaps. But one line that really stuck in my head was when Jackie says she's on the phone back home, and she says, presumably to a younger sibling or something, "Don't fall in love." And that could be the sort of the moral of Double Indemnity, Postman Always Rings Twice. All those films where ordinary people get sucked in to a toxic relationship and end up committing murder because of it, and ending up in, prison or worse because of it.
Out of the past.
Out of the past, yeah, out of the past. So there was all that. What I really liked about this for a contemporary noir film is that, without being a direct copy of any of those old 40s classics, it was steeped in their lore. And it stank of them, This could easily have been written by James N. Cain or Jim Thompson or anybody like that, easily.
Yeah.
And it's all the better for it, I think. I think it's really good.
I think so too. I was pleasantly surprised. I tweeted, sometimes I'll tweet that, what film we're watching. Obviously, the people don't know when the episode is going to come out, but I'll do a bit of a hint that we're at least watching something that will eventually come out. And a listener and pal, retweeted and was like, "Oh my God, I'm nervous. What is he going to say? Is he going to like it?" And then another friend of mine underneath that would just replied, "Oof." as if like expecting me to hate this movie. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I was like, that's so ridiculous to come in with that, like right off the bat. Because like, you have no idea if I'm going to like it or not. Like in general, like I will say in general, I don't like Kristen Stewart's movies. I hate Twilight. I think those are dog shit. I remember seeing the what was that movie where they're playing that 80s rock band that she was in? I can't remember now. The ones who sing Cherry Bomb.
Don't know.
You don't know who sings Cherry Bomb?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Now, oh my! How do you not know Cherry Bomb? Now I got to look it up. The Runaways, the band The Runaways. There was a biopic about the band The Runaways, and she was one. I think maybe the leads. I can't remember if she was or not, but yeah. So I've never really enjoyed anything that Kristen Stewart's ever been in. I think she just has I don't know. She has a vibe that I don't fully like. So there was that apprehension going into Love Lies Bleeding, but very, very, very quickly the film won me over. I think it's honestly from that very opening shot where you're looking at the gym. It's a really wide angle looking at the gym. It almost looks like, a dirty film. You see like the dirty 80s cars, and it's just a very grungy looking scene. Yeah. And then they throw the title up, Love Lies Bleeding, tilted a little bit, very much looking like LA Confidential in the quirk that it is, and in the color. And I was like, wow, this is throwing noir right in your face from the very beginning.
Yeah. And I didn't have that apprehension, because I'll make another confession now. I've never seen Kristen Stewart in anything. I've never seen Twilight. I've never had any inclination to see Twilight. So I don't know. Apart from Ed Harris, who plays her father in this, we'll definitely talk about him later. I didn't know anybody in this. And because I'm an old man. So I didn't know any of these people. Obviously looked at them in preparation for this. But very often I think that is a bonus, and it's an advantage, because you don't have any of that baggage that you've got, thinking, well, I don't really like this woman. I don't like the work she does. To me, this was just Lou Langston.
Sure. Sure.
So, and it was just Jackie Gleaver. I don't know Katy O'Brien either. Partly because of the things I've seen that she's been in don't really interest me at all. So I sort of came to this as a blank canvas, and most of the cast were a blank canvas to me as well. So they were just the characters, and I don't know if that makes it even more of an impact that it has on you or not. But yeah, same as you. I thought, right, well, I've no expectations of this whatsoever. The only thing that I do know, Rose Glass, because I'm also a big horror film fan, and she did St. Maud, which is one of the most unsettling films and difficult films I've seen for horror films I've seen for a long time.
Yeah.
So I knew that she had some punch. And she's definitely got it in this as well. She's packing a similar punch in this. Yeah, I had no expectations of this other than expecting something from Rose Glass. And as you say, with the minute those credits started, it was apart from the font and the color, everything going on behind those credits was just dirty, grimy, exactly like Postman Always Rings Twice. Both the original and the remake. Yes.
So I opposite to you, I knew a fair number of people that were in this movie where I'm aware of them. I don't know them. Be cool if I did. But like JJ, who is the abusive husband, played by Dave Franco. I've never been blown away by Dave Franco, but I've not seen a lot of his stuff. But I thought here, I was like, wow, he is very good at being a menacing POS. Like he encapsulates that abusive, alcoholic, sleazy 80s man just pitch perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And as I say, he just was that character to me, because I guess he might have been James Franco's brother just because of the name, but and there's a vague similarity, I suppose. But
Yeah.
That didn't sort of take me out of it at all. And
Yeah.
you're right. He's an absolute. He's what my old grandma would say. He's one of those villains that you really love to hate.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely in buckets full. He's really, really horrendous in this.
Yeah. I also knew Katy O'Brien. I've seen her in like The Mandalorian and some of those other things where in my opinion, I don't think she's been given a chance to shine. So it was great because I was watching. I was like, I recognize you, but I don't know what it was from. And so obviously I jumped to IMDb and I'm like, oh, of course, she plays like a Imperial person in The Mandalorian season, I think 3, and her character didn't have a lot. There wasn't much to it, but I sort of liked her. But it was good to see her in this movie because it showed what she has to offer as a fantastic actor. And my God, she was great. Okay. Did you think at any point when you were watching this, Katy O'Brien plays Jackie, who's the bodybuilder.
Yeah.
When you were watching this and seeing her doing her workouts and like the workout gear she was wearing and stuff, at any point did you get She-Hulk vibes from her? Because I sure did.
All the way through, yeah. Yeah.
Like to the point to where I went and looked up She-Hulk comics and I thought, did they in some way model her off of She-Hulk? Like
Possibly.
The big hair, like,
yeah.
Obviously she's bodybuilder and She-Hulk is bodybuilding kind of lady, but like just the way she sort of is generally looked in the style of her hair, I'm like, you really look like the perfect She-Hulk.
She does look like perfect She-Hulk, yeah, she does. And there's a scene where she goes to confront JJ, which we'll get onto, and they're sort of shot in silhouette, and she is, I don't know if it's camera trick, I don't know how to, but she is massive compared to him. She is really towering over him. You know the scene I mean?
I do.
Before she tells him off.
Tells him. That's a way to put it. Before she breaks his jaw.
Yeah, before she completely annihilates him. Really, yeah. And just for a minute, I mean, she's thrown the first punch, and then just for a minute, they're sort of side by side, and she in silhouette is She-Hulk waiting to happen.
Yes.
So yeah, and again, her performance I thought in this was brilliant when she goes from when she has the sort of breakdown halfway through, she loses the plot. That performance is absolutely spellbinding.
Yeah, she steals
really,
this
really
film.
Good.
Steals it. She does.
Following this, if her career doesn't take off more than Star Wars spin-off TV series or whatever else it might be that she's been in, it'll be an absolute travesty. Really will.
I think that was something that I loved, and I loved seeing someone. First, I just loved seeing an original movie for one, an original genre movie. Like that was so refreshing, and then it was also great to see actors who, like I said, I'm not a massive fan of Kristen Stewart, but it was great to see actors who I've seen in the past in stuff I'm not really a fan of, in something that like shows that they have way more capability than some of the projects that I've seen them in have allowed them to demonstrate. I think
that's the phrase. Have allowed them to be. That's the phrase.
Yeah.
I can't see. I suspect if I went back and watched Twilight, I won't be doing. But if I went back and watched Twilight, I suspect I'd see quite a different performance from Kristen Stewart in this than I have in Love Lies Bleeding. And you can't help but read some of the press about these people. And of course. So I knew that she gets a lot of stick, but people say she's not very good and all the rest of it. But based on this, I can't fault her performance in this. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think it's really it's got texture, it's got depth, it's got dirtiness, it's got toughness, it's got vulnerability in it. They both have both of these leads have. And it really is impressive. It really does pack a punch. Literally,
this is by far the best I've seen Kristen Stewart. It's not a perfect performance. There are shades of Twilight performances happening. She's very much into that stuttery acting. Like she does that a lot. That pisses me off. It just doesn't feel natural or real. It feels like acting. But it's quite restrained, but there were other areas in the film where I think she does really, really good work. You're mostly looking at a pretty solid performance. So Rose Glass did, I think, an amazing job as a director, getting the best performance from the actors in this. Before we get into the story, should we just talk a little bit more about Rose Glass? We haven't really done that too much yet.
Yeah.
This was the first movie by Rose I've ever seen, and I'm also baffled in the best way that this is her second movie. She's done some shorts, but this is her second. Her first one was the one you mentioned earlier, Saint Maud in 2019, which I've been told is very good, but I've not seen it. But you have seen it and you liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. It depends if you like that sort of thing. It's very well made example of it, and it has a real. The ending is absolutely. I mean, it's quite famous now, but the ending is it takes you from one place and then throws you and leaves you in quite the opposite place. It comes as a little surprise to me that this is packs the punch it does. But what does come as a surprise, like you, is that as far as I can see, there's been sort of 4 or 5 shorts and then these 2 features, both of which have been 5 years apart. I think they are, both of which have been really, really spellbinding and had a real impact on me as a viewer.
Yeah. I am very keen to go and watch Saint Maud. After seeing this, I almost wanted to go watch it immediately after, but I didn't. It's interesting that in the during some of the press interviews for Love Lies Bleeding, she mentions that Paul Verhoeven's Showgirls was a sort of inspiration for this in terms of tone and setting. And I knew this going into the movie, and knowing that I could really see where they were in many ways pulling from Showgirls. Now, Showgirls is famously a terrible movie, but it does fall into that erotic thriller, neo-noir genre. So I sort of get it, because it's a very dark, it's a very sleazy, it's a very corrupted world.
Yeah. Well, I get it as well. And the reason I get it is more to do with the fact that she also talks about her influences on St. Maud. And they are films like Repulsion, Rosemary's Baby, and the Devils. And you can definitely see the Devils in St. Maud. So yeah, it's a long time since I've seen Showgirls, and I won't be revisiting that either. But
we're doing it for the show at some point. It's coming on one day.
Oh, all right then. For the benefit of this particular show, I will rewatch Showgirls with my eyes clamped open like Clockwork Orange. But yeah, that sleazy nighttime vibe is very much in evidence in this film, in Love Lies Bleeding. And is obviously one of the noir things about this film. So yeah, I can see where the influences are, but what I like is that she doesn't wear them on a sleeve.
Yes,
she does her own thing with them. So you could watch this film, you could watch St. Maud and not see Rosemary's Baby, because she does something of her own type with it. Yeah. So she takes it as a springboard into her own category of horror film, and in this case, noir film. And I think that's what a lot of directors, screenwriters, authors don't do. They slavishly copy who they say is an influence. Yes. So she's a very interesting director to me.
I am all praise for Rose Glass. Seriously, I in terms of just a director with originality and voice.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got it, to use your phrase, in spades. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, she has. And also, we said a couple of shows ago about it might have been Get Carter, I think, that this is obviously the film she wanted to make and the story she wanted to tell, and she has told it and she has made it, and it is all the better for that vision and that determination to get what she wants to say said.
Yes,
it's. I think she's definitely a director to watch, and still only young.
Yeah,
still only young, still only in like early 30s, I think.
Yeah,
so I hope there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, I don't know the relationship between Rose and Weronika. Is it Weronika, but with a W? Is it Weronika? That sounds funny to me. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing her name, but it is spelled with a W, but it's Veronica.
I would say Weronika, but
okay.
Again, we shall apologize one way or the other.
My dyslexic brain is like, it has a W, so I must say it with a W. Like that's just the way I'm terribly sorry if I butchered your name. I'm not trying to. But yeah, I don't know their relationship. They worked on, I think, one short together back in 2015 called A Moment of Horror, but I couldn't find anything else about them sort of working together, or what it was that brought them together. So I'm assuming it was having worked on that particular project. Now, Weronika, she has a good number of credits to her name. She's written a little bit, but she's directed a lot. Shows like Baby Reindeer, which was recently on Netflix, which I'm not going to get into that. That's got all sorts. Not going to get into that. But then things like his Dark Materials on the BBC and various episodes, a couple other episodes of TV shows, but before that. But seems to be more of a director than a writer at the moment, at least. But
yeah,
it's interesting. She's working on things that are kind of dark and very similar in tone to this particular movie. So I think them combined, breakout for me with this.
Absolutely.
I want to see more of their work now. I want to see more of their work.
Their work together, certainly. Because if this is what they're capable of, and they're still only starting out, then we've got major things coming as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Okay, let's dive into the story a little bit more. So, something I absolutely loved was the parallels of how we meet Jackie and Lou. You meet Jackie when she's being effed. She's being screwed. She's literally being screwed by Dave Franco's character JJ in the back of his car. It's gross. It's sleazy. And at the end, it's all because she wants a job, and he'll go to his boss and get her a job if she lets him.
And it is sleazy. It is sleazy.
It's so gross.
Intentionally sleazy, of course.
Yes, and it's worse. It's just a terrible scene. It's a good terrible scene, but like he leaves her in a scary parking lot, and he literally says, "Oh, it's really dangerous around here. You should probably go somewhere." And then he just drives off. I'm like, that sets up everything you need to know about him perfectly, and that he's a sleaze, he's abusive, he takes advantage, and then he just leaves you somewhere dangerous and doesn't give an F about you at all.
Yeah. So, and having set that stall out, what follows, which we'll come on to, what follows then builds on it.
Yes.
So you see just how sort of nasty he is, really nasty. But so all the building blocks are in that first opening scene. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I love that, and you feel bad for Jackie. You're like, oh my god, she's just trying to get to Vegas. She just needs some money to get to Vegas to go to this bodybuilding show that she's really passionate about. She's having to do very dirty things to get there, and that is screaming of film noir. It's screaming of those people in Raymond Chandler novels who go out to Hollywood to make their dreams come true, but along the way, just those dreams get eviscerated and they get swept up into the
they get
corruption.
Corrupted and torn and ripped apart. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. So opening scene with Jackie, she's getting effed by JJ, but then the opening scene of Lou, played by Kristen Stewart, she's literally got her hand. She's elbow deep in shit, literally.
Yeah. Literally, yeah.
You're finding both of them at such. She's plunging a toilet, and it's so gross, and you feel the
in a gym.
A gym,
she works in a gym, and she's cleaning the toilets in the gym.
Yeah. You feel the grossness and you feel the sleaze, because not only is she elbow deep in crap, she's also got this very sleazy friend lingering behind her, Daisy, who wants to get with her, but like Lou doesn't like her in that way. But it's interesting because Daisy is being quite what would be like in many ways like the male role, being quite aggressive and forcing herself. Lou. Yeah. And so it was interesting the film was taking that and exploring that, because it felt so gross. You're like, oh my God, just get off. Just get off.
Get off, yeah. And again, there's that sort of abusive, not in the same way JJ is, but you know, given what Lou is doing, Daisy thinks it's appropriate to say, looks like you've got your hands full. You know. And you just want Lou to throw what she's got in her hands right in Daisy's face, really. Because Daisy is horrendous. And the fact she's called Daisy, which always seems to me to be sort of like quite a sweet name, and you know, quite a romantic name in many ways. Maybe because of The Great Gatsby, but this Daisy is absolutely horrendous.
Yes,
you know, she's filthy, and you know, it by which I mean unclean. You know,
yes,
her teeth are. It's great makeup because her teeth are absolutely rotten.
Yes.
You know, and her hair's lank and greasy, and her skin's all blotchy, and she just looks like she's not washed for weeks.
Yes.
And she's constantly hitting on Lou all the time. Yes. You know, and Lou's having none of it, really. She's just sort of, for some reason, doesn't feel she can just say do on Daisy. You know, just leave me alone, sort of thing.
Yeah. She feels sort of trapped in this relationship.
She's trapped in her whole life, isn't she? She's trapped in her whole life.
Yeah, it's, you know, Lou can't really go anywhere because Lou is working at this gym that is owned by her father, who is a massive criminal that the FBI are after. And that we learned that very, very, very quickly and very early on. The FBI come to the gym and they're like, "Oh, where's your mom? Oh, where's your dad?" And then they leave a card for the FBI, and she's obviously Lou is nervous about this because she's, you know, at the moment she's trying to protect her dad from being caught by the feds for being a massive he's a criminal. He smuggles weapons, probably drugs. He does all kinds of stuff. He's a nasty mother trucker. Played by Ed Harris.
Played by Ed Harris.
Now
with crazy extensions.
Yeah,
crazy
so
hair extensions.
Apparently he went into the audition with these crazy extensions as a joke.
Yeah, I read that as well.
And then they liked it and thought, no, have that. Now, okay, let's talk just briefly. Let's pause about story and talk about style, because I was very impressed with the look of this film, from the way the characters look and dress to the general look of the world. It felt very, there was so much of it it captured Midwest America so perfectly, in my opinion. Having grown up in Indiana in the 90s, there was a lot of hangovers from the 80s. This takes place in 89. So if you think about, you know, mid 90s, weren't that far away. There's style, there's clothes, there's things that are very much hungover from that era that I remember. Like, I know people and remember people who looked and dressed like Ed Harris's character, who had stupidly long hair but were bald on top, or
bald on top,
or people who looked
JJ's
like
JJ. JJ's hairdo with those sort of rat tails at the back, you know.
Yeah, I had an uncle who looked just like him, literally just like him. It was haunting.
Yeah, I remember all those sort of things as well. Obviously not from Northern England rather than Midwest America, but fashion travels on it. And I remember at one point when Jackie finally gets to the bodybuilding competition, she's wearing a shell suit, what looks like a shell suit, like a sort of pastel pink and pastel blue tracksuit top. And you think, oh, I remember them. They were absolutely dreadful. And that's talking about style. I like it is set in 1989, but you don't get one of those cheesy captions to tell you it's 1989, and you don't get somebody saying, you know, come on, it's nearly the 90s. You know, we're on the verge of the 90s. You don't get any of that.
Yes,
you could be forgiven for not realizing this is 1989 because it's so subtly done. Yeah, it's so subtly done. But the hair styles, the choice of t-shirts, some of the t-shirts are very sort of late 80s. And things like this tracksuit that she wears. I just love the fact that it doesn't beat you over the head with a sledgehammer to tell you when it's set.
I was impressed with the level of restraint, because if this was a different director with a different studio or whatever, you can imagine it being overloaded with 80s pop songs. You can imagine it being overloaded with 80 like Stranger Things level of like 80s techno synthesized music.
People wearing Walkmans and all that business. There's none of that.
There's no branding. I was shocked by the fact that there weren't even like serial, and maybe they didn't have the permission, which is probably what it is, because it's a rather film costs like 12 million to make or something like that, so it's not an expensive movie per se. But I just love the fact there weren't even brands. There weren't like Pop-Tarts or Apple Jacks, or there was nothing on the tables or in the houses that was screaming. There was no like Mountain Dew can. There was nothing like that. It just
absolutely
felt authentic, like an authentic world, without branding being shoved in your face, or those music cues. Like, I don't know if you ever saw, like, for example, the first of the new King Kong movies, Kong Skull Island, set in and around the 70s Vietnam.
Yeah.
They're throwing 70s rock songs in your face every 5 seconds.
Well, that's the easy way to doing it. That's the lazy way of doing it, isn't it? That's the lazy way of doing it. And it's just so cheap and cliched, and we've seen it all before, and it's just this is a breath of fresh air, because too often, in my opinion, movies talk down to the audience, and it's refreshing to have a film that says, I'm not going to hold your hand through this. You're going to have to sort of work out certain bits.
Yes.
And when it is set is one of the things that you're going to have to work out, because really, that's just a bit of not necessarily window dressing. I don't mean that, but when it's set doesn't necessarily have as much of an impact as perhaps it might do, for a film set really in period, like historical period. But I like the fact that it's, there's no technology. The absence of technology is enough to tell you. No one's got a mobile phone. No one's got, the TVs are all little.
Yeah.
And like pretty rubbish. She's working out in front of a mirror with a TV, and the picture's all grainy. And
and on the TV, I just have to say that was another impressive moment, because they're playing a cartoon of Gulliver's Travels. Black and white. That would have been another perfect moment. I say perfect in quotes. Perfect moment to throw something like, I don't know, Three's Company or Cheers on the TV, but they don't. They play something that is more realistic at the time, and that's actually playing reruns from.
And of course,
longer
has a significance, shall we say?
Yes, it does. Yes,
in what follows. In what follows.
Get there.
We'll get there. So all this, and I agree. It looks like, I mean, it doesn't even tell you. I don't think it tells you where particularly it's set, what the town is or anything.
It does somewhere, and now I can't remember. They do say where they are.
I know it's
and
New
now
Mexico
I can't remember.
Somewhere. I know it's meant to be sort of New Mexico way, but it just is its own world, and it is just
It's generic small town America.
Anywhere, it could be anywhere. It's the same sort of impression that you get when Psycho starts with a caption that says "yesterday." Yeah, so that this is just happening somewhere in your present.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They capture that Midwest vibe so well that, like, even though I grew up in Indiana, there was so much stuff that I could relate to visually and with the neighborhood and with where they're going. Like this could have taken place in my hometown. This could have taken place in the town next to us. This could anywhere in Midwest America. So it has that wonderful, wonderful vibe.
It has that sort of that generic is the wrong word. Generic implies something negative, and it isn't at all, because it is the point of it is
positively
this could
generic.
happen anywhere. Yes, that's what we'll call it.
So the other thing I really enjoyed on the narrative side was that JJ gets Jackie a job working with Lou's dad, who is Ed Harris, whose name is also Lou. Is it Lou, or it's close? It's like Louis or Lewis, or what's I gotta get this right. It's Lou. Yeah, they're both named Lou.
They're both named Lou. Yeah.
Now, I love the fact that Ed Harris's character Lou runs runs a gun range, shooting range. And the thing that Jackie says straight away is, I hate guns.
Yeah.
And it gave me that Jaws vibe. You know, Brody doesn't like the water, but where does he get a job? On an island.
On an island. Yeah.
And so I loved that, and I loved what this set up. A girl who hates guns working on a gun range who is going to have to deal with the thing that she hates the most. And where that takes her is absolutely intense and insane.
Intense and insane. Yeah. And in many ways, like, heartbreaking. You know, in many ways, it's really very sad. Very sad. The outcome of this film is well, what happens to Jackie overall is very sad.
Yes.
You know, the journey that she goes on is sad.
So I like this. So this is a unique one because it's an erotic thriller, and we don't get those very often anymore.
No.
You know, like Basic Instinct or you know, films like that, Fatal Attraction, you know, The Last Seduction that we already covered. Like, we don't get this level of erotic thriller on a regular basis, and it's fully erotic. There are some there's a lot of nudity at the beginning, particularly at the beginning when Lou and Jackie are falling in love. A lot of their loves-ish stuff was done in montage while in between, like, training and stuff, which honestly, because I think this film was like an hour and 40 minutes. And
yeah, it is.
There's one of those moments where I didn't need, you know, there's always the big thing, you know, show, don't tell. And montages are mostly telling in general. But with this, I just thought, you know what, I'm really fine with it because I don't necessarily need to see them going in and out on dates. I think that opening scene with them in the gym where they're flirting with each other and they like each other, and then Jackie punches the crap out of that guy who also punched her, like, told you everything you need to really know about them, so that it makes you accept the montage.
Yeah, it does. He references Lou's sexuality, doesn't he?
He does.
And in a typical 1980s way.
Yes.
And her reaction to that, Jackie's reaction to that, 'cause Jackie is bisexual. Her reaction to that is not, I think, what he expected.
Yes. Yeah, no.
But that is, you know, and he's then sort of, oh, come on, you're joking, right? Come with us. And then she smacks him one. But that tells you all you need to know, doesn't it? That scene for me is worth like 100 restaurant scenes or date scenes or whatever you want to say, you know.
Yes.
So I agree. I wasn't offended or disgruntled by the fact that it was a montage, because all that's doing is showing the passage of time to me, because they've already set up that they're falling in love and they are going to be a couple. So then you want to get that out of the way as quickly as possible. As a storyteller, you want to get that done. Yeah. Because we already know it. You know, show us where they go next.
Yes.
So all it's doing is showing that this isn't just like a one night stand and the next day is the next day sort of thing. This is weeks or months or whatever it is that have passed. And a montage is a quick and easy way of doing that, you know, getting it out of the way. But it doesn't labour the point at all.
No, it's well utilized, because that's the film is very efficient. It moves quickly. It doesn't belabor any points, and it spends time on the things that really matter. And they sets up the relationship. Bam, you understand it. Bam, you follow it. Bam, you're with it. In ways that other films, like say The Fall Guy, I didn't really care about that relationship, whereas this I bought into it.
No. And by saying it's efficient, by saying it's, you know, you set them up as a couple, bam, you see them going out together, bam, and all that in no way is to show that this is like got no depth to it. It's quite the opposite. It's done efficiently and economically, because economically, that's the word, because it's well written and well directed, and you don't need any flabby scenes, and well edited. Yeah.
So I really love the film for that, and I think also the thing that was really worked for me was the way that Jackie and Lou played off each other, and this is down to Rose Glass getting good performances from both of those actors that helped me buy into that relationship quicker. I think there was chemistry there, and I think you can always tell. You can always tell on screen when the actors have chemistry and when they don't. And these two had chemistry, and it was pretty good. It was pretty spicy. You know?
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's damn sight more erotic in my view than Basic Instinct, for heaven's sake.
Yeah,
which is just like,
it's pretty tame.
Schoolboy porn.
pretty much.
This has. This is. It struck me. This is another film we'll cover on the channel. This was erotic to me as a film like Body Heat is.
But yes,
where there is a real attraction between these two characters, as there is in Body Heat, and they can't really keep their hands off each other. And by contrast, something like Basic Instinct is just sleaze to me.
Yes,
and it has none of the impact that this has. So this is a genuine erotic thriller, and you're right, they don't come along very, very often.
So the crap hits the fan when Lou's sister gets viciously beaten by JJ to the point she's hospitalized, she's in a coma, and Lou is freaking out. Oh my god, yeah.
Makeup.
Yes. Lou is freaking out, and this Jackie, she knows who's behind it. Lou knows who's behind it. And but Jackie takes matters into her own hands, and this is what sets off the chain of events that starts to really sort of ruin every's life in a lot of ways.
Things really start to unravel after this. And this is the scene where I referenced before, where there's a shot of him in silhouette, and she is She-Hulk compared to this little like waste of a man.
Yes. So Jackie goes to JJ's house, confronts JJ about beating his wife, and he's like, "Oh, whatever, get away." Blah, blah, blah. And this is where this film, I think, takes a lot of inspiration from Drive. I think cinematography, there's a lot of Drive going on, but I think even in action and violence, there's a lot of Drive, because there's that scene in Drive in the elevator that no one expects.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not going to spoil it, because we'll cover that episode at some. We'll cover that film.
We'll cover that film at another point. But yeah, I know exactly where you're going with that.
But when Jackie starts beating the crap out of JJ, and then smashes his head against the edge of a coffee table, it's very. I'm not going to go into it because of censoring, but it's very graphic. His jaw is literally hanging from his face. It is,
and too often. Yeah, it is brutal. And too often we see the man beating up the woman, don't we, in situations like this? We don't see Lou's sister, who's called Beth. We don't see that attack. We see the after effects of it.
Yeah.
But we see Jackie's attack on the man, and it's if this is the right word, it's refreshing to see. And also, aren't you cheering her on?
Yeah.
Aren't you cheering her on?
In a morbid way, you definitely are. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I'm talking years and years and years ago, my mum's reaction to the original I Spit on Your Grave was, a real sort of cheer. She said, it's every woman's revenge come true. And that I had a similar vibe with this, that it's exactly what people like him deserve.
Yeah,
it's and she gives it in with absolutely no compromise.
Oh yeah, this is her first like Hulk out scene. And there's these interesting scenes throughout the film where there's these sort of close-ups on her muscles, where her muscles like flex and the veins pop, almost in a hulking. It's
very hulkish. Yeah, it's very hulkish.
It's all stylized. It's not happening in reality, but it's there to. It's a visual cue to say she's getting angry, she's getting pumped up, she's about to do some shit.
Yeah, and it is stylized, and that comes into play much later on as well. That things aren't quite what you see or what you think you see. But yeah, it's a gritty, grimy, violent scene.
It is,
and
I love the murder cover up. It is great. I love that. I love how they tried to cover up the murder, and I like the franticness of it. There's such a level of panic going on that felt really authentic. You know, not Lou, but Jackie's lost it. She's in another world. She's like, I need to go. My audition, my bodybuilding thing is tomorrow. I got to go to Vegas. And Lou's like, you can't leave. You can't leave. You have to stay. And then, the plan.
This is all because she's been taking steroids.
Yes.
This all comes back because she's been taking steroids. Which Lou gives her. Gives her.
Lou gets addicted. This is where it's like everyone in this story is not a good person in many ways. I feel like Jackie is the one who comes into town and gets corrupted.
Yeah. Definitely.
By everything. She gets the drugs from Lou. She then gets effed by JJ. She then gets, roped up into... So basically, they hide JJ's body in this crevice, in this ravine sort of thing. And then they blow the car up. Cops come. They unearth a whole bunch of bodies down below that Lou Sr. is responsible for, so his criminal activity dumps a lot of his bodies there. We also find that he's got the cops in his pocket and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's his little private cemetery for the people who betrayed him and wronged him and what have you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as things unfold, Lou Sr. requires Jackie to take care of something. There's a loose end, and that loose end happens to be Daisy, because Daisy saw his daughter Lou and Jackie that night that they got rid of the car. Daisy stopped and tried to talk to Lou. Lou fobbed her off, and they drove away, and Lou was driving JJ's car. And so this is where Lou is forced to do some stuff that is absolutely maddening, because she is not only does she not like guns, a gun is then put into her hand, and she has to do the ultimate thing she would never want to do, and that is kill someone. And she's like, in the film, there's one point in the movie where she's like, "Oh my god, I'm a killer now. I've become a killer. I killed people."
Yeah, and she starts to fracture, doesn't she? She starts to fall apart.
Yes. Yeah, and I liked it. I liked how we started to get that fracture when she goes to the bodybuilding competition. She freaks out, goes out there, does it, and those scenes are so tense, so cringy, because she's losing it. She's losing it,
and there's a really unexpected hallucination.
Yes,
and it's so visceral.
Yes,
but it also tells you exactly what's going on in her head. She's way out of herself on steroids here. Because she's taking them all the time, and she's taking them with relish, isn't she? She starts taking them with relish, and then, as so often happens, she's taking them because she needs to. And she does. She goes out there, and she's off her face, isn't she? Really, let's be honest about it. And then but all the time, what this visceral surprise does is show that Lou is on her mind all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it reinforces the love story.
Yeah,
because she sort of gives birth to an adult Lou.
Yes. Yeah.
Through her mouth.
It's absolutely nuts.
And when you see it happen, you think, what is going on?
Yes.
I thought I'm losing this now. What's going on? Because the effect is really good, isn't it? The sort of prosthetics or whatever it is that they use is really good, and it looks practical to me. I mean, I don't know how
Could
they do
I'm
it,
not sure.
I don't know. And then this sort of slimy version of Kristen Stewart just flops out onto the stage like a newborn.
It's
really as a non-parent, it's even more traumatic. Trust me, because things like that really
gross all the way around. All the way around is gross.
Yeah. But it also serves the characters, and it serves because it shows that she is still obsessing over Lou, and has left her, because they've left after an argument, haven't they? They've left after a bust-up, and she's sort of legged it. Jackie's legged it, but she's compelled to go back because of the way they feel about each other. So all the time it's harking back to that relationship, and it makes it all the more real for it.
Yeah. Well, it's Lou Senior who bails her out of jail after the incident, because she gets into a brawl at the bodybuilding competition and gets put in jail, and then Lou Senior comes and bails her out, and that's when Lou says, "You got to take care of this loose end. You two really effed up. I don't know, you got to fix this now." And while Jackie is doing this bodybuilding stuff, you get the sleaze of Daisy. Daisy comes back in and she starts manipulating the bejesus out of Lou. And you see it. She basically, there's that scene where Lou calls, or where Jackie calls Lou, and Daisy picks up the phone and Daisy's naked. And you're like, oh my God, Lou gave in. Lou gave in and gave Daisy what she wanted, slept with her to shut her up.
To shut her up. Yeah.
Daisy is really the femme fatale of this piece.
Daisy is the femme fatale. I was just going to say that. Daisy is the femme fatale. She plays Lou. And I know Lou's got something of a background with her dad in terms of his business. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Which slowly is revealed over the course of the film. Again, it's not spoon fed you. It's slowly revealed. So Jackie is the complete innocent in this. She is the one that is corrupted. But I also feel that Lou is desperate to. She can't, but she's desperate to distance herself and just sort of go under the radar and just live a lonely life.
Yeah,
being at that gym and saying, "I don't speak to my dad," is a low life, which is what she says to the FBI, and then going home to that flat and that cat, and just being a nobody, So she's also manipulated by Daisy, and I think she's also something of an innocent when that starts to happen. In the sense that she feels she has no choice.
Yeah,
and she is trapped by her life. And those two combined then become a really powerful duo. Lou and Jackie for those reasons. For those reasons, they see something of themselves in each other, but life is dumping on them in different ways. And then it's all going to come to a head. But yeah, you're right. Daisy is the, for all the fact that there are no really good people in this, Daisy, I think, is arguably the main villain in this.
She's up there. Her and
she's
Lou.
Up there, definitely.
Lou is the main. Lou Senior is the main villain. Daisy is the henchman, and that's how I sort of see it.
Yeah. Okay, I love that.
So
I'll take that.
The film sort of goes absolutely nuts at this point. And geez, that scene where Daisy and Lou are going back to her apartment, and all of a sudden there's just this splatter from behind. You just see this splatter of red splashed onto Lou, and you turn around and Lou is behind her, and she's just shot Daisy through the face.
Yeah. And
then she falls down dead, and then you're just like, oh my God. And the domino effect of this, from that moment on, the film just is relentless. The film is already like speeding up, but by this point, it just goes relentless for the rest of the time. And it's really, it's nuts, because Lou then gets taken by Lou Senior, and basically he threatens his daughter to say, look, if you don't, I'm going to kill her if you don't deal with this situation.
Lou the daughter, Kristen Stewart, has said to Lou Senior that she's going to cooperate with the FBI, hasn't she?
Yes.
She said, I'm not falling for it anymore, which is her character. Whether that's, do we believe her? Do we think she is?
Yeah, she calls the cops. You can hear the sirens.
Oh, yeah, she does. She does. She does.
I think she does. I think she actually calls them. We don't see it, but I think she has actually called the feds. I think
because the sirens do come. So that's her journey. She says, I'm having no more. I'm escaping this life one way or the other, no matter what the cost. And that is her journey, which is a good one. It's a good character arc. So Lou Senior, her dad, is then like sort of off on one, and she's got to go. And it does it.
The scene with the cop. The scene with the cop, where the cop comes to kill her.
The corrupt cop. Yeah. That's
fantastic. Brilliant. God, that scene was
brilliant.
Great.
Scene. Yeah, brilliant scene. And the bit where there's also that bit where she's trying to tidy up, and the FBI are knocking on the door saying, "We just want to come in and talk." and it's really tense. It's really tense. It's like it's Hitchcockian, because you're desperate for her to tidy up and clean up and for him not to sort of suss what she's done. And she's trying to look for ways to escape, isn't she? There's no way out of that apartment.
No.
And then they knock on the door, and it clearly isn't one. But the FBI, the main FBI man walks in and says, "Nice place."
Yeah.
And it's absolute dive.
It is. It's a terrible, shitty apartment. Oh my God.
It's a horrendous place.
Oh, God.
And then there's this again is a Hitchcock touch. There's the body's behind the sofa, and the cat comes and starts sniffing around it, and you're just like, oh, really is tense. That really, really works. Really effective. Really effective.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And then of course then it's great. Once the FBI guys leave, Lou legs it to her dad's house to confront him. She's had enough of it. She's not ready to kill her dad if possible to save Jackie. And there's that really painful scene with Beth, Beth wakes up from her coma. She's back at her dad's house, and there's a really painful scene where she's like, Beth is furious with Lou, because she knows that Lou, her sister, is partly responsible for the death of her husband. And she's like, "You don't know him. You didn't know him." And you just realize how brainwashed Beth really was.
There's a real truth to that, isn't there? There's a real truth to that real life situation. There's a really there's a real honesty about that reaction that Beth has, because she is completely, earlier on in a restaurant, she's dropped some Chinese food in his lap, hasn't she? Because trying to help him with chopsticks.
Yes.
And she's apologetic and trying to wipe it away, and he has a go at her for trying to fondle him in a restaurant. And that's what causes the attack. And she is and everything's her fault. She is completely brainwashed by him.
Yep.
And that's quite a wrenching scene, because the reality is that Lou has saved her from any more of it. But she'll never see it.
No,
it's really tragic. That really tragic.
So Lou obviously finds Jackie tied up, and there's a bit of a kerfuffle where Lou's trying to explain to Jackie what she's doing, because Jackie at the moment thinks she might be trying to kill her as well. But they have a moment where they finally come together, and Lou says to Jackie, "You need to run that way. I'll drive around. I'll pick you up. We'll get out of town. We'll get out of here. The FBI are coming." And Jackie takes off. Lou heads around front, and that's when Lou gets shot in the leg. Her dad shoots her. And obviously Jackie hears this happening, and this was a nutty scene. This is where all my thoughts of She-Hulk are finally realized.
And this is why it's important. This is why it's important that Gulliver's Travels was being shown on the TV.
Yes,
this is cinematic signposting taken to the max.
Oh my God, it is. So Jackie hears Lou scream, hears the gunshot, hears her dad torturing her, and literally hulks out. She literally starts like
hulks out.
Her muscles start popping. She starts growing and becoming a giant. And then all of a sudden, we're now on a scene of Lou and Lou Senior. And this giant, literally a giant version of Jackie comes walking around.
They both look to the camera,
house.
don't they? They both look. Lou Senior looks and says, "What the?" And Lou daughter looks and goes, "Oh God!"
Yes.
And then you just see this absolute behemoth.
Yes,
Jackie.
an actual giant. Like she's taller than the house.
She's taller than the house that they're outside. And she picks up a bit like in Night of the Demon. The old Night of the Demon film with Dana Andrews, when this demon picks up a man, and it is like just picking up, an action figure. Yeah, she does that with Lou Senior, just picks him up, and then sort of very clumsily sits down like a child.
Yes,
and because she's so ungainly, she's in great shape, but she's 50 foot tall or something, so she's dead ungainly, and then she just starts breaking his limbs.
Yes,
like you're snapping a Kit Kat. It's absolutely, it's terrifying in its own way. Totally out of the blue. In the sense that whatever you're expecting Jackie to do when you see the muscles going, you don't expect it to be a 50-foot version of herself.
No.
Well,
no.
I didn't.
You sort of expect to just see normal Jackie rush and charge and beat the shit out of him, or something like that, because the muscle scenes have been, they're not meant to be realistic. It's not what's really happening. It's just it's a visual cue of what's going on psychologically, and this is too this giant version, and then it's sort of taken a step further after that scene where we see giant versions of Jackie and Lou running, and they're running through the clouds, and it's very sort of spacey and sort of psychedelic in many ways.
But it's a metaphor, isn't it? It's a cinematic metaphor.
Because then it sort of snaps back to them being in Lou's car or truck, and they're just driving down the highway. Now, gotta be honest, I am slightly torn on the giant stuff. I'm slightly torn on it.
I don't. I am really, because it just made me laugh. I'm afraid, because I thought, this is bonkers. This is bonkers.
Yes,
I know full well what they're doing. I fully understand what they're doing.
Yeah,
but it does look comic when she just comes wading in like the Incredible Hulk. It does look comical.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Maybe it's intentionally comical. I don't know.
I think it is. There's two things in the ending that I think are intentionally comical that sort of pulled me out just a little bit. And the giant stuff is one thing, because it just felt so absurd and out of nowhere. And it was quite a serious. The whole conclusion, that whole final set piece, is a very tense and serious set piece. So to end it in this sort of absurd way felt like it maybe undercut some of that tension just a little bit.
Yeah. It is great. It is great that they've. It's great that they've sort of released themselves from the trap that they were in.
Yes.
It's great that they're now going to escape.
Yeah.
Having done the right thing with the FBI. Because they leave Lou alive, don't they? Even though she breaks his limbs, they leave him alive, so he will get his punishment. So the intention, what it's conveying, is quite honest, I think, and it's quite true. But whether or not making them both giants at the end is the best way of doing it, it's certainly a striking way of doing it, and it's certainly a cinematic way of doing it. But whether it's a bit too silly, I would probably. I wouldn't argue too hard with somebody who told me it was. Let's put it that way.
The other thing that was silly to me was they're driving in the truck, and they still got Daisy's body in the back, and she's alive. She sits up, and there's this scene is basically Lou goes out, checks the body, sees she's alive. Jackie's asleep in the truck. And the final shot is quite comedic. It's almost like a Dumb and Dumber shot where we're seeing Jackie sleeping. We're looking through her side window, and Lou is out there dragging the body into the desert to, like, I don't know, go bury it or burn it or something. And she's like exhausted, and then lights a cigarette, and then it fades. Then it fades to fades to black. And you're like, that's a really comedic ending to this very serious movie that I don't know.
Yeah, I did quite well. I mean, obviously they're now both killers, aren't they? Although we find out that Lou has always been a killer, because she used to. Her dad made a killer man.
Yeah.
So, but they're sort of equal now, aren't they? They're both killers, and I did quite like the fact that the camera's on Jackie fast asleep in the truck, and then a blurred image just appears out of nowhere, and you realize, well, this is Lou dragging Daisy's body, and she then goes into focus, and I thought that spoilt it more. I would have preferred it just so that it's something out in the background and you don't really see the detail of it. I would have preferred that, but I know what you mean. It is a bit comical, but I don't know. I didn't feel shortchanged by it by any stretch.
I don't feel shortchanged by it, but it did. Those were the two things, or I guess three things, because it's giant Jackie, giant Lou and Jackie, and then the dragging the body. just those three things just right in quick succession, I think, is the problem. There are three things in quick succession.
Maybe it's that
you're like, whoa. Yeah, because they've played it very serious throughout the whole film to then almost have this, like I said, like Dumb and Dumber, Napoleon Dynamite-esque funny odd conclusion of disposing of it was just those things sort of pulled me out. But overall, I thought the film was absolutely fantastic.
There's a sort of idealism about it, isn't there? There's a sort of fairy tale quality to it that now they think they're going to go and live a happy life. Maybe it's something along those lines. A bit like, that sort of freeze frame and Butch and Sundance and all that. There's an element of, we are now going to be like invincible and immortal, and we've beaten it all. I know you're a big fan. But I remember when we did the Sugar episode, I said I wanted to throw the remote control through the TV when that twist was revealed. I didn't have that feeling with this. I genuinely didn't have that feeling with this. So
interesting.
Maybe my warped mind can accept giant women, but can't accept alien PIs. I don't really know I don't really know what that says. Maybe I should go get some therapy.
So we rate this.
Yeah.
So we rate every film out of 5. 1 out of 5 Falcons, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Out of 5, Matt, what would you rate Love Lies Bleeding?
This is definitely a 4. This is definitely a 4. I am tempted to say 4.5 because it's almost like nothing I've ever seen before, whilst at the same time being something that I've seen before, if you know what I mean. And that's going back to it. You can see the influences, but they're not worn on the film's sleeve. But I think on balance, it's a solid 4.
I'm going to give it 4.5. I've sat with this film for a day. I've thought about it. There's a lot I like. Like you said, Rose Glass clearly got the genre. She knew what she was doing. Whether she's a big love of film noir or whatnot, I'm not sure. But she utilized the genre to such an extent, in such a positive way that felt original but familiar. That, I mean, hats off to her. She generated great performances from the cast. Really shocking moments. I
can't wait to see what she does
great.
Next.
Yeah, visually it's great. I love the almost sort of, it's meant to look like it's shot on film, but that's all like digital grading. They wanted to shoot it on film, but they couldn't because it's too expensive. So and I think just the way they created this 80s world and made it feel authentic 80s without shoving branding or pop music and pop culture in your face. To me, there's so many good things about it. Those couple of little gripes that I have are I can't knock a full star off for it. So it's a 4.5 for me for sure. So it's undoubtedly a strong recommendation from Mean Streets.
It certainly is. If you've not seen it, go and find it.
It's worth owning. Go buy it.
That wraps up our investigation. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with another case. In the meantime, please like and subscribe, and be sure to take care walking down those mean streets.